Dear colleagues, dear guests, very happy to introduce this international conference in Paris. IFTRIP is the International Forum of Terrorist Insurance and Reinsurance Pools, which gathers most of the insurance terrorist market solutions worldwide. We'll discuss today some challenges of terrorist insurance with the new deadly attacks, potential threats, and political environment. Quick look back. After the creation of several pools post-WTC, GARA tried to foster an association in 2003. But at the time, most European pools were focused on their national interests and markets. In 2004, the OECD started to implement conferences on terrorism insurance, then to develop a network of pools and an international platform. The IFTRIP project started in 2015 with an initiative from Pool UK, discussed at international pools conferences in London and then finalized in Canberra. IFTRIP main objectives are to gather terrorist market solutions worldwide, to develop cooperation, help covering most losses due to terrorist attacks. This conference will follow this path and discuss the current issues we are going to see. It will show the large diversity of all market solutions worldwide and the innovative changes over time. It's worth mentioning here that 3 out of the 3 major European solutions cover life and health, which is generally unknown. As only a sample of IFTRIP market solutions could be presented here, we have done a brochure which will give you a flavor of the different associations and pools worldwide. Terrorism is not only a political issue in some countries due to frustration and local conflicts. It is international, organized, and it has spread as a disease first in the Middle East and Africa, then to Europe, which had in the last 15 years a major toll of 2,200 people dead and more victims wounded or distressed. The new logic of terror networks has turned to randomly attack people or targets, which makes it very difficult to detect, prevent, or mitigate. When in October 2002, as representative of reinsurers, I started in this house exploratory talks with insurers to kick off a terrorist market solution in France, I could not imagine that 15 years later we would be in that room, in that house, with people from all over the world to discuss terrorism insurance. This was a great achievement of IFTRIP initiatives by members. This conference is another step towards international cooperation, and I'm very grateful to all the people who have contributed. Finally, I would like to thank the FFA for their hospitality and their cooperation on terrorism issues since 2002, and particularly Bernard Spitz, the chairman. So Bernard, thank you very much, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Francois. Welcome, my dear friends, to all of you. Welcome to this IFTRIP conference in Paris. We at the French Insurance Federation are honored and very pleased to see you here, and this is an evidence of our commitment to this subject today, as Francois just said. This conference could not be taking place at a better time. As we speak, in France, negotiations are currently ongoing with the French authorities for renewal of the Guaranteed State Convention with the French pool, GAREAT, as just Francois remembered. Terrorism is a reality of our world today. We in France have experienced this drama for decades. All of you have in mind names of Charlie Hebdo, Hypercacher, the Bataclan, but from 1974, the drugstore Saint-Germain with Carlos, to recently the Champs-Élysées, there is almost half a century of bloody terrorism and attacks against France and obviously against all the nations represented here. I couldn't make the list from Berlin to Manchester, from London to Milan, from Bologna to Tokyo, Stockholm, Moscow, Luxor, Washington, New York, of course. This list of deadly attacks is too long. We all know that the terrorist risk goes beyond the frontiers and national borders. It is an overwhelming global challenge. This is why international cooperation is crucial for all and in all areas, from security, counter-terrorism, and in our specific area, terrorism coverage. Terrorism aims to destroy our economies, to shatter our lives. Insurance is at the forefront of the fight, precisely because we keep our societies together, our economies at work, and our confidence afloat. All of us agree on the notion that terrorism is a one-of-a-kind risk that need a one-of-a-kind insurance and reinsurance solution. We call it a one-of-a-kind risk because it is an unprecedented and unpredictable risk in terms of frequency and severity. We can build scenarios predicting possible terrorist attacks, but we cannot build models. It is also a one-of-a-kind risk because tragedy after tragedy, we realize that terrorism has no limits. It can be airplanes crashing against skyscrapers, cyber attacks, human bombs, or cars running over people. A risk with no models, with no limits, cannot be insured by traditional ways. That's why we need to build a one-of-a-kind insurance solution. The insurance markets all over the world have spontaneously realized that insurer pools and that insurers need to combine forces to cover this peculiar risk. Each country did it its own way. In France, for example, the public authorities have joined it in this collective effort. We have in France a high level of protection through insurance. Compulsory protection for damages includes the consequences of a nuclear or bacteriological attack. In terms of body injuries, a public fund financed by a tax on insurance contracts brings a very complete compensation to victims of terrorism. All the pools you represent here embody this collective effort to create protection against terrorism. Pools are widely different, but each of them could learn from the other's experience. For example, Europe has the largest number of pools within the OECD. The 6 major markets in Europe are split evenly between property-only coverage and coverage for all classes of business. Hence, the surprise regarding specifically protection and insurance against terrorism. We are dealing with a peril that ignores borders, which attacks our very values even before attacking our countries. But international mechanisms have still not been created to strengthen this protection. The world community has been able to tackle climate change through the process of COP21, but seems unable to tackle the terrorist risk. At this stage, there is neither European nor international common action on terrorism protection and terrorism insurance. Yes, there are national initiatives, but international solidarity and cooperation are far too insufficient to address the huge challenge of terrorism. Europe is at standstill on terrorism coverage since 2012, when Michel Barnier launched a public consultation on an European Green Paper on coverage and prevention of disasters. The evidence at that time was that for insurers and reinsurers, again, there was not a one fits all solution, exactly like terrorism. We have had recently a better example of good cooperation among members, which is the NIS Directive on Information System. which is dedicated to information system protection, especially cyber risk. And we are talking about cyber risk. We are not very far from cyber terrorism and from terrorism. So why are we not capable to do more? As terrorism has become a major risk in Europe, we propose a regional conference on terrorism with all stakeholders to improve the coverage, risk management, public-private partnerships, and the potential pooling of extreme risks on a regional basis first, and then at the international level. This is a call today in Paris to all of you and to the European community to start this process. Joining capacities to protect people and assets against terrorism would not only be financially effective, but would also send a powerful, and if I may add, a necessary political message. Beyond the goal of sharing our common experiences, your association, IFTRIP, is by far very well placed by its expertise and its experience to become the relevant institution and start helping to build such international solution. I wish you a very good work today. Thank you.